Yeah, it doesn't surprise me actually that this issue happened shortly after branch tube replacement, right? So many folks don't know how to prime the high pressure oil system properly following that kind of work. And so they crank on the truck and crank on the truck and crank on the truck trying to get the air out. And instead of realizing that if they had just gone ahead and yanked the FICM relay and cranked on the truck for, call it 15 seconds, and then let it rest for 45, and 15 more seconds on the rest for 45 with a battery charger hooked up, that they'll A, not burn out their starter, B, by having the FICM relay out, prevent any voltage from coming into the FICM, C, by using the key as a means of cranking and not using the remote start engagement wire, they allow voltage to come into the IPR valve, and that forces all of the output from the HPOP over to the oil rail versus literally allowing a bunch of it to go right back into the oil pan. And so it's just a more efficient way of going. And then you can watch your gauges too inside the cab if you've got them there hooked up to OBD2 to watch your ICP voltage. And what you really should do is you should, after you finally see that you've got 0.93 built, go take the wife out to dinner or whatever, let the batteries recover on a charger, and after they've recovered, then go ahead and have a buddy available, and you can crank on the truck, call it 20 seconds most of the time. You'll hear a little ding, and your low pressure oil pressure gauge on the dash will come up to the middle. So that'll show you, yep, I got base engine oil pressure, to somebody else's comment. And then you'll see that you've got about 20 seconds of cranking in, 18, 20 seconds. You'll see that all of a sudden now you're built up to that 0.93 or higher at that point. And then you immediately get off the key, immediately have somebody pop in the FICM relay, and then immediately hop on the key again, and the truck will start within a half a second of cranking, and you've never, ever subjected your FICM to inadequate supply side voltage. Pretty cool trick. Now, in addition to that, after the engine warms up, now you're at like 120 degree oil just idling. Now you take it for a spin in a lower gear, put it down in 2 or something, and drive around for like 5 minutes at 3,000 RPM, and that will force the number one, you won't be breaking any land speed records, about 35 miles an hour is all. But you'll force all of the air that's still trapped up in the system out of there, and that way tomorrow when you start the truck, it'll fire up first time instantly. It won't be extended cranking for a couple of days while you're waiting on all the air to come out. The air will already have been out, so that's a win. So pretty cool. As far as this occurring, right after the branch tube adapter was changed, this is the reason, well, it's one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of just changing out that snap to connect fitting with the branch tube adapter, because it's just so many problems ensue following that. A whole lot of guys don't do that job right, and then they end up with a problem. And so, and the problem commonly is, well, this one right here, where you're only developing the 150 or so PSI because there's a leak at the branch tube. And so it's like, oh man, are you sure you don't want to just buy a new Thumper 1 or something if this is a late build truck, or an Atlas HPOP if it's an early build truck, and just push the magic reset button on life? Obviously, the older build trucks don't have snap to connect fittings at all, but those pumps do fail. So if you get more than like 160,000 miles, just freaking replace it. But even the newer pumps fail. And so I've never had a problem until you do. One of my personal trucks is an 06, and at about 226,000 or so, left me on the side of the road. And just thankfully, I just came back from an out-of-state trip, and I was literally just a mile away from my shop when it happened, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But it could have been horrible, and it did it without any warning at all, at like 30 miles an hour or some such. So your IPR valve is new, that's good. ICP sensor is new, that's good. But you're still not building the pressure. So, and there was no crap on the screen. And so in this case, what I would say is probably your valve is good, probably your ICP sensor is good. I'm assuming you're using Motorcraft parts there, and if you're not, like, why the heck aren't you? But but assuming that that's all still the case, then the issue probably is indeed this branch tube. And so now you get some choices to make. Do you want to do an air test to verify this? Do you just want to change out the whole kit and caboodle? Maybe pick up this RCD Thumper 1 from us on FICMRepair.com. I don't know, but the world's kind of your oyster at this point. But at least now you know what voltages to look for. You know what's acceptable, what's not, what they correspond with. And any questions you have, any updates, anything else, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, repost, whatever you want to do. I just want to help you. All right? So FICMRepair.com, we're all in this together. Take care, guys.